Welcome! If you're a fan of zombies, this is the perfect place for you. Today, we're revisiting the greatest zombie movie and series hits of all time. For those who've seen them, it's a great reminder of these iconic titles. And for those who haven't, we've got a list that's sure to deliver some incredible thrills. This is a must-see collection for every zombie fan. Number 25, Dawn of the Dead. Imagine a world collapsing into chaos. Dawn of the Dead from 2004 is a terrifying vision of the apocalypse, where every minute is a struggle for survival. In an instant, ordinary life turns into hell. The undead take to the streets, hungry for human flesh. A group of survivors trapped in an abandoned shopping mall come face to face with merciless hordes. Their numbers steadily grow, and the walls that were supposed to protect them become a prison. As time goes by, tension builds, and hope begins to die. In a world where each night is longer than the last, the only certainty is that no one will get out alive. Number 24, Resident Evil. Resident Evil from 2002 is a story about people who fall into the middle of hell. In the dark underworld of the Umbrella Corporation, an evil organization experiments with a virus that turns people into mindless, bloodthirsty monsters. When the virus gets out of control, a mysterious military unit is sent to bring the chaos under control. The heroes find themselves in a deadly trap, and every corridor becomes a maze full of the walking dead. Locked in an underground complex with no escape, they must face not only the zombies, but also the dark secrets of Umbrella, where death is only the beginning. Every step, every breath brings them closer to inevitable doom. In this hell, humanity has no chance to survive. Number 23, The Wailing. In a small, isolated village, tranquility is violently interrupted by a series of inexplicable and horrific events. Residents begin to die in unimaginable agonies, and the survivors descend into madness. Bodies rot, eyes glaze over, and minds are filled with chaos and bloodlust. People lose their sanity overnight, beginning to murder their loved ones for no reason, as if something invisible and dark had taken control of them. Lurking in the depths of the forest is a mysterious, lonely stranger whose appearance coincides with the onset of this plague. Desperate for answers, a police officer trying to save his daughter discovers that what lurks in the shadows is not just a sinister force, but something the human mind cannot comprehend. The horror grows with each passing moment as the evil that has taken over the village begins to approach, inevitably clenching its icy claws. Number 22, Wreck. In the heart of Barcelona, a journalist and her cameraman set out to record the fire department's routine night duty. It starts innocently enough, a call to an apartment block where a mysterious incident has occurred. But when the door of the building closes with a bang, what was supposed to be a simple report turns into a nightmare beyond imagination. Every sound, every shadow lurks on the verge of madness, and the residents of the block begin to behave more and more strangely. Soon, the brutal truth is revealed. Something dark is developing in the building, something that turns people into bloodthirsty beasts, devoid of any human nature. Fear spreads faster than the plague, and those trapped inside begin to fight for their lives, though every step leads them deeper into the abyss. Claustrophobic corridors, desperate screams, and increasingly possessed tenants make this building an impossible trap to escape. Number 21, Shaun of the Dead. In an ordinary town where life went on in a monotonous rhythm, something terrifying begins to happen. People, until recently neighbors and friends, begin to rise from the dead. Their bodies are decomposing, their eyes are empty, and the hunger that drives them knows no mercy. This nightmare includes Shaun, an ordinary, somewhat clumsy guy who has avoided responsibility all his life. Now, faced with the apocalypse, he must rise to the occasion. His daily routine turns into a bloody struggle for survival, and the city becomes a prison full of bloodthirsty corpses. When the old faces of acquaintances turn into monsters ready to tear everyone to pieces, Shaun, armed with a cricket bat, desperately tries to protect his loved ones. every step becomes risky and every sound can bring death. Number 20. Happiness. Happiness is a terrifying tale of a world that is destroyed by the outbreak of a pandemic of a new virus. The infected do not become mere victims, but are transformed into merciless, bloodthirsty creatures, monsters with an insatiable bloodlust that lurk around every corner. Locked in a high-rise building, the residents try desperately to survive, knowing that their neighbors could turn into beasts at any moment. Lack of food, fear, and paranoia permeate the walls, and every day is a new fight for life. Every breath could be their last, as there is no telling who will attack and when. The world descends into chaos, and humanity shows its worst face. Only those who are willing to do anything to stay alive will survive. But how long can you survive when you can't trust anyone, not even yourself? Number 19. Black Summer. In a world that has fallen to pieces in the midst of a terrifying apocalypse, a group of strangers are struggling to survive. Among them is Rose, a mother who is trying with all her might to find her daughter. Every day is a struggle, not only against terrifying undead creatures that move swiftly in the wake of every sound, but also against people who lose their humanity in desperation. Betrayal, violence, and hopelessness accompany their every step. Every decision can lead to death, and every new alliance is a risk greater than a clash with the living dead. As darkness shrouds the streets, they no longer know what is more frightening, the monsters from outside or the people they must work with to survive. Number 18. The night eats the world. In post-apocalyptic Paris, loneliness becomes more frightening than omnipresent death. People have disappeared, and their place has been taken by soulless, infected creatures that roam the streets like shadows of the former inhabitants. At the center of this dead world is Sam, the last survivor, trapped in a silent nightmare. Buildings that once bustled with life are now his prison, and death can lurk behind every door. Every sound, every movement can draw hordes of those who were once human, but now want only one thing: to devour the last vestige of humanity. Number 17. The Walking Dead. Daryl Dixon. Wandering through the desolate, ruined streets, Daryl Dixon fights not only hordes of the undead, but also ruthless factions of survivors who have created their own brutal rules. He finds himself in a place where dark secrets lurk around every corner, and the past refuses to let him forget. When he accidentally gets embroiled in a mission to transport a mysterious child, he discovers that what was supposed to be a simple journey becomes a battle against unimaginable evil that haunts not only the living, but also the dead. The France he knew from old stories is now a world where every second could be the last. The survivors are fewer and fewer, and those who remain have turned into merciless beasts, ready to sacrifice everything to survive. Number 16. 28 days later. Imagine waking up in a hospital bed, unaware that the world as you knew it has disappeared. Jim, the main character, opens his eyes in a deserted London, where the streets are quiet and abandoned traces of his former life are visible everywhere. However, he is not alone. The infected, possessed by a virus that turns people into violent, angry monsters, lurk in the shadows, ready to kill anything they encounter. Jim encounters survivors, but even among them he can't be sure who is more dangerous, the humans or the monsters they have turned into. Every moment is a struggle for survival, and hope for a safe place seems only an illusion in a world ravaged by anger and blood. Number 15. Z Nation. The world as they knew it has ceased to exist. The virus has turned most of humanity into bloodthirsty zombies, and the few survivors are struggling to live in a wasteland full of death. A group of desperate people has one task. They must transport a man immune to the virus from New York to a government base in California. This man is the only hope of creating a vaccine that can save the remnants of humanity. Their journey is a never-ending struggle for survival. They traverse deserted cities, forests full of shadows, and ruined highways. But not only hordes of zombies stand in their way. There are also gangs of bandits and mutants spawned by the virus, unstoppable beasts. More and more chaos engulfs the group as they begin to lack confidence and their mission turns into a nightmare. Number 14. The sadness. In one day, the characters' lives turn into a nightmare when a virus transforms residents into monsters. A young couple, Kat and Jim, are separated in a chaotic city where no one is safe. Jim desperately tries to find his beloved, while Kat flees the growing madness, encountering increasingly sadistic and terrifying characters. The virus not only causes uncontrollable aggression, but turns people into creatures who derive sick, unimaginable pleasure from horrific acts of violence. There is no mercy, no rescue, only a bloody spectacle in which humanity turns into a grotesque game of survival. Every step Kat and Jim take leads them deeper into hell, with each passing moment putting them closer and closer to the border, beyond which only madness and death await. Number 13. The Walking Dead. Dead City. In the heart of the ruins of New York City, survivor Maggie embarks on a desperate mission to save her kidnapped son. She is followed by Negan, the man who once drove her family to despair. Their expedition leads them deep into the dark alleys of the city, now overrun by deadly groups of survivors who have created their own brutal laws in the chaos. Zombies are everywhere, but the real threat turns out to be the humans, feral, ruthless, ready to do anything to survive. Beneath the surface of this monstrous city lie secrets that can destroy anyone who comes near them. Forced to work together, Maggie and Negan must not only face their own demons, but also discover who really rules this hell on Earth, where even death seems a lighter fate than what awaits the living. Number 12. 28 Weeks Later. 28 Weeks Later is a chilling film that depicts a London plunged into chaos after a deadly outbreak of the rage virus. The main characters, the Harris family, try to rebuild their lives after the traumatic events, but their hopes for normalcy quickly turn into a nightmare. Don, the father, harbors a dark secret that threatens not only his family, but all who survive. His children, Tammy and Andy, become key figures in the brutal struggle for survival, but they must face monsters both from outside and among their loved ones. The sense of danger grows with each passing moment, and the heroes, pursued by an unstoppable virus, discover that they can't be safe anywhere. In this world, no one is free from darkness, and the worst beasts can hide among us. Number 11. The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. It has been 5 years since Rick Grimes was kidnapped by the Citizen Republic Army. During that time, he tried to escape 4 times, but each attempt ended in failure. Now he is forced to spend 6 years doing hard labor on the outskirts of Philadelphia before he can enter the city as a full-fledged citizen. Although Rick still dreams of returning to his family and living a normal life with Michonne, he begins to accept his fate. He accepts the offer of Lieutenant Colonel Donald Okafor to join a secret military group aimed at overthrowing the system from within. However, as Rick begins to find his way in the new reality, Michonne unexpectedly appears on his path, changing everything. Number 10. Land of the Dead. In a world devastated by the apocalypse, the dead do not rest in their graves, and the living fight for every breath. The few surviving human beings have taken refuge in a giant fortress, surrounded by a wall and fenced off from the hordes of the undead. Those who survived are locked in a false bubble of safety, surrounded by wealth and technology, while beyond the walls, hell spreads, where zombies not only grow stronger, but begin to think, to evolve. Slowly, a realization is emerging that it is not the living who hunt the dead, but it is the dead who plan their move to destroy human civilization once and for all. Number 9. Fear the Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead is a story about the beginning of the end of the world. When a mysterious virus begins to spread in Los Angeles, people quickly realize that danger lurks everywhere. The virus turns people into bloodthirsty, mindless monsters who will stop at nothing to satisfy their murderous instincts. The Clark family tries to survive in a world where every moment brings the threat of death. With each passing minute, tensions rise and morality fades into the shadows of the struggle for survival. People become as dangerous as zombies. Betrayal and violence lurk at every turn. The fight for life forces the heroes to make brutal decisions, and evil lurks among both the living and the dead. Number 8. Alive. In the dark heart of a metropolis, the world suddenly descends into chaos when a mysterious virus begins to transform people into bloodthirsty beasts. Streets that were once bustling with life become silent graveyards where survival depends on one rule: don't be seen, don't be heard. In the midst of this apocalypse, a young man becomes trapped in his own apartment. His only companion becomes an uneasy silence broken only by the sounds of the sick who lurk in the darkness, looking for a new victim. Each day is a struggle against hunger, loneliness, and progressive insanity. And outside, amidst the rubble and ruins, lurks something far worse than the infestation itself: a constant silent hunt for monsters that will not rest until they find their next victim. Number 7. All of us are dead. Suddenly, all hell breaks out in the secluded school corridors. An unknown virus turns students into ruthless, blood-hungry beasts. No one is safe, and everyone infected becomes a monster, ready to tear former friends to shreds. The school, which was a place of learning, turns into a maze full of death, where screams and sounds of ripped flesh become a terrifying background of everyday life. Every step is a fight for life, and the darkness hides an indescribable fear. With no chance of outside help, the students must face an unimaginable nightmare. Number 6. Kingdom. In a remote corner of medieval Korea, a kingdom descends into chaos as a mysterious plague begins to spread among the inhabitants. The living become food for the dead, and the dead rise from their graves at night, craving blood and human flesh. In the dark, musty streets and forests, every step can be the last. No one is safe, not even in the palace, where treachery, intrigue, and power struggles fuel desperation. The prince, fighting for his life and his nation, must face not only a horde of merciless living corpses, but also conspirators among the people. The nightmare is coming from all sides, and those who try to survive become beasts more terrifying than those who rose from the grave. Number 5. I Am Legend. In the dark, ruined world of the future, New York City becomes a desolate desert where the last man faces an unimaginable nightmare. Robert Neville, the sole survivor of a deadly pandemic, is struggling not only to survive, but also to preserve the remnants of his sanity. By day, he is a hunter, searching for food among the ruins. By night, becomes a game, pursued by mutated beasts, bloodthirsty creatures that hunt in the dark. Loneliness becomes his greatest enemy, and each night brings not only fear, but also increasing terror. For in the silence of the city lurks something waiting for his slightest mistake. Number 4. The Last of Us. In a world in chaos, after the outbreak of a terrible pandemic, the cordyceps fungus takes control of human bodies, turning them into bloodthirsty, mindless monsters. Cities are now ruins, full of bodies, and every street hides death and despair. In this hell, Joel, a smuggler weary of life, is tasked with transporting Ellie, a girl immune to the plague, through the horror-filled, desolate countryside. But what meets them on the road is worse than they could ever imagine. The people who survived have become even more vicious than the monsters who are trying to kill them. Number 3. The Walking Dead. The world as we knew it is gone forever. An epidemic of unimaginable proportions has turned people into rotting, mindless creatures who constantly crave blood. Every sound and movement can bring down a wave of the walking dead, ready to rip you to shreds. The few survivors must survive in constant fear, fighting not only the undead, but also their own weaknesses and those of other people. Rick Grimes, a former sheriff, wakes up in a deserted hospital and discovers that the world he knew has ceased to exist. Determined to find his family, he becomes the leader of a group of survivors. Every decision he makes becomes more and more taxing, and survival requires sacrifices. Each of the other characters, from the calm Herschel to the life-destroyed Carol, faces a difficult choice: surrender to the brutal reality or fight for the remnants of humanity. In this new world, trust is rare, and every step could be your last. Number 2. World War Z. World War Z is the story of a world plunged into chaos when a mysterious virus turns people into savage, bloodthirsty monsters. Overnight, entire cities turn into death traps where no one is safe. The epidemic is spreading faster than anyone could have predicted, turning people into mindless living corpses rushing in hordes. The main character, Jerry Lane, faces an indescribable horror. He has to save his family by traversing a world gripped by the apocalypse. Every step is a struggle for survival, as death lurks around every corner and time is running out. The apocalypse is getting closer. Number 1. Train to Busan. A group of passengers, at first strangers, are quickly forced to cooperate in order to survive. Among them is a man who, along with his daughter, is trying to reach Busan, but must face not only the hordes of zombies, but also his own selfishness and neglect of his daughter. Alongside them fights a tough, tenacious man who protects his pregnant wife, ready to sacrifice everything to ensure her safety. Amid the chaos, the darkest side of human nature is also revealed when one of the passengers, a ruthless businessman, is ready to destroy anyone to save his own skin. In the cramped, stuffy train cars, fear and desperation lead to difficult choices, and the line between man and monster grows ever thinner. And that's it. These zombie movies and series are classics that every fan should know. Let me know in the comments which titles are your favorites, or if you have other suggestions that should be on this list. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future rundowns and new movie recommendations.